might take it to you guys. Do we have some things that we want to talk about? What the biggest challenges are going to be this month?
Yeah, so I thought it would be really cool to help them with their goals.
Okay, sweet.
I know that Roy wants to get qualified, don't you, honey? Yeah.
Honestly, I think
oh, you broke the plunger. Oh my gosh.
This is just, oh God.
I think with goals, the best thing to do is get really obsessed with them. Like, you can't half-ass a goal. And I know that sounds a bit weird, but like, you need to know the ins and outs of how you're going to get there, how the point system works, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like sometimes our self-sabotage technique is to go like, here's my goal, but I'll get there someday. Like, it'll happen, and not actually focus on the how to make it happen. I know that's definitely one way for me, because if I feel like I have a goal, I feel like I've got purpose for the month. But unless you really actively work towards it, it's difficult to achieve. So if your goal is qualifying, if your goal is SC, if it's SSC, whatever it is, just get really, really clear on knowing what that looks like, how that looks like. And I mean, we've got a fair few resources set up. So the Almost to the Beach money is probably going to be your hangout at the moment. Go into there, have a look.
Are you in there, Roy?
Yep.
You are.
Having a look at the videos in there, girl. I know that.
Oh, wait. Is this a group?
Yeah.
What is it called, sorry?
It's called Almost to the Beach money. So we're coining.
I don't know if Tammy put you in there. Okay, I'll put you in there now.
Thank you. So is that where I'm going to be mainly doing some stuff in there, Kat?
I've just invited you into it now, honey. So you'll see.
Okay.
Now, if you go into, I think it's the photos. Yeah, it's the photos. There's a. Maybe it's not the photos. It might be the pinned post. Let me try and work it out. There's so many groups now I've got to try and get used to.
Look at all that lovely juice plus on Cinnamon's shelf there. Quite impressive.
I know, I was seeing that.
It's the photo albums, babe. So if you go into the photo albums, there's one there that is literally called, so let's get ready, 1, 2, 3. And it's got the 1, which is show me the money, 2 is the logistics, and 3 is getting rid of your dirty money stories. So
that's a really good one, the dirty money story.
It is, because I find that, we all get into this business to start making residual income, but the actual thought of that is something that gets quite scary, because we want to do it, but it's also going to take work. It's a little bit outside of our comfort zone, and then it's a whole new system that we've got to understand. So it really does kind of become one of those things that kind of just gets pushed to the back burner. But if you're really serious about qualifying, what I would do is I would get on there today and I'd watch all 3. They're not super long, and have a chat to Tanya about how many points she thinks you're going to be away. So with qualifying, what it is it's the amount of volume that's going through your business. And volume, of course, is dollar figures, not necessarily points. So we get to count people's installments.
It's only about 5 orders, Roy. You're only about 5 orders away.
Yeah. Right.
You're really close.
What was that?
Hang on, there's just a lot of background noise. If just as long as we don't have any cancellations this month done, so try and minimize anybody putting their orders on hold or stopping the next shipment, which is cool, because that's really make sure that you've got some good customer care. Check it up on your customers, seeing if they're loving it, making sure that you're trying to retain what you've got, because it is so much easier to keep a customer than to search for a new one. So I always like to think that when you're looking at your business, I know it might sound a little bit crazy, but over time, you want to eventually build up to having around about 20 personal customers. just ones that you can look after. Now, what that means is it means you never have to worry about qualifying. Qualifying is going to happen every single month with or without you. But obviously, as you're still building in that, that's where bringing team in helps, because you might have 5 or 6 personal customers, and then you've got a couple of teamies that have 5 or 6 personal customers, and the 20 customers comes from you guys as a collective. So that's obviously one thing that you would be working towards anyway. You're looking at bringing on a new team, I remember?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
We're still quite on the fence line at the moment.
What do you think's holding them back?
Mainly just fear. It is their mind frame or their mindset limitations as well.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to not convince them, but gain confidence in my own social media influence.
Yeah.
It's just taking a bit of a slow time.
Yeah. What stage did they get up to? Have they watched an event? Have they got on a call with clients?
We haven't gone on to the call with Tanya yet. I have gone on to some calls with Tammy. Mainly it's been face-to-face.
Yeah.
We've been meeting up a lot after Zumba classes. We mainly make connections through there.
Yeah.
And then we follow it up. We follow through. I follow up through anyway. And then I get a bit of a silence for a few days or a week, and I find I would say, hey, how are you going? Or just not even going near the Juice Plus itself, just connecting, and a lot of people aren't replying back to me, and it's gotten my confidence a bit down on the basis of am I being an annoying friend. I don't know. It's just, I guess, building my confidence as well, and finding the right people who would like the product.
Yeah.
Making connections through there as well.
It is disheartening when that happens, though, because you're relying on your warm market, but you're also, like, they're friends first. So kind of, you don't want to feel like you're, I guess, kind of ruining anything there. So what I would do is, and I'm not sure if we've heard this one before, but this is actually what Lauren did. So Lauren and I were friends, my outline. And I was kind of that person that was ignoring, right? So I was kind of that person that just wasn't replying back. And she actually sent me a message and she said, look, I'm so sorry if I've offended you. The last thing I wanted to do was come in between our friendship. I really hope that one day I can help you out with this, but there's absolutely no pressure,
Yeah.
And that to me, like, I just thought, oh my God, I'm being such a bitch. Like, I've ignored her for too long. Like, now she's upset with me. Now she thinks that I'm upset with her. Like, so it was a really good reminder for me that the person on the other end of the message was real.
Yeah.
And that they weren't just after the business, that they were actually my friend first. So to me, that was when I thought, oh, you know what, excuses aside, I'm just going to look further into this opportunity. And then I can politely tell her, no, it's not for me. Unfortunately, I went to the event and loved it. So I was like, oh, now I've got to eat all my But it definitely works, I think, because either from a point of view of it calls them out on their shitty behaviour. So then they come back and they say, oh, look, I'm sorry, it's not really for me. I just don't have a polite way to tell you, or I don't want to hurt your feelings, whatever it is. Or they could come back and say, look, I'm so sorry, life's so busy, like I didn't mean to ignore you. I'm still really interested. And I feel like you get a really good, open, honest conversation after that message. So that's always something to send. But if I can give any of you guys advice, the 3-way call, it's so great. Like, it is so great because it instantly shows social proofing. But I would just recommend that if you're going to do a 3-way call, especially if you're not feeling super confident yourself, do it with, say, Tans or myself. Someone who has already been there and done that and is now doing it full time. And I say that really politely, not to offend any uplines or anything like that, but the nature of the game is to show them pretty much like, this is your person you relate to. and this what could be your future. Do you kind of understand what I mean? So you want to get them to start dreaming. You want to hear from somebody who is kind of, you know, semi-successful, is on their way to doing this, to prove to them that it's not just a whole lot of hype. There's real people who are seeing success in it. And I feel like when we're trying to duplicate that system really well, we just assume that we go to our upline, which is beautiful. But if you're in such a fast-moving team where your upline is the same position as you, you're not creating any real credibility, because the person's really only seen, you know, 2 people who are maybe making $500 a month, and that could be everything that they want. But if they want 4,000 to 10,000, you know, then they're going to want to talk to somebody who's been doing it a little bit longer. So
For sure.
I would just politely recommend that to any of you guys and anyone else who you bring on. Don't get offended. You know, don't assume that because you're their upline, you should be the 3-way call person. I would be still sending them to Tans. Literally just because she is the SSE. She's the one that's moved up the ranks the furthest, and she's got some really good credibility in her story. So yeah, that would definitely be a recommendation that I would do for you guys, because the 3-way call, there's also questions that the upline's meant to ask. And a lot of the SSC and above have already been trained on that. So they know how to get out the right answers, how to really help them understand why this could be amazing for them. So it is a really kind of important part of the process if you're doing it that way. I prefer personally with my way, because I feel quite experienced now. I do the first call by myself. And this totally, so Maxine and Sid, you're pretty much going for SC soon, babe, anyway. This could be something that falls in line with you guys. It could be something that you feel like, no, you know what, I still want to stick with a 3-way call. But I would prefer to do the first call myself, especially if I know them, especially if they're my friend. I'll do the call first. I'll ignite some excitement. I'll share my story. It's just babble, really. It's really just the first step of building a connection. Then I put them into the blueprint. This is where they've already seen an event though, okay? Event always comes first. Then we have the talk where I kind of fan the flames a little bit, like get them excited. This is what can happen. Put them into the blueprint so that they understand the training's quite simple. It's quite easy. All of their myths are hopefully killed. And then's a really good time to get them on a call with, say, Tans. But if you're at the stage where you don't feel confident on that first call, get Tans in straight away, you know, because you don't want to let them go missing. So sometimes I think that you need to build skills, and by having that other third person on there that's been doing it for longer, you can literally sit there and go like, oh my God, that was a really cool question to ask, or, you know, and learn through watching somebody else do it. Because I feel like we forget through all of the how-to and all of the goals and all of the crazy bullshit, this is a teaching business. Like, it really is a teaching business. It's about getting in front of your upline as much as possible, and it's about teaching your downline as much as possible, about inspiring them, about building skills, because eventually they're going to have to then pass these skills on to somebody else. So if you kind of have the mentality of every day is a school day for me, every day I'm turning up, I'm watching my upline, I'm thinking, what skills do I need to steal right now? Like, what are you doing that I need to replicate? It's a really good way. And that's, Lauren's so different to me. Like, you guys haven't met Lauren. Have you met Lauren Tans? Briefly. She's very, very different to me, extremely different to me.
Yeah, I've met her. She's way different from you. I don't resonate with her at all.
Yeah, probably polar opposite, different to me, but she was super successful. You know, when I came into this business, she was already almost a 39 club business, which turns over a good $7,000 a month. So to me, that's what I wanted. And I knew that if I wanted that, I had to replicate her skills. I didn't have to replicate her because I could never be her, but I had to turn up and do the shit that she was doing each day in my own way. So I had to get up, I had to do the posting that she was doing in my own way. I had to jump on the training calls and try and then pass them to my team. You know, and it is that duplication system is what creates momentum. And I feel like when we don't have the momentum is when we're most frustrated. that's when we feel like, oh, fuck, is this working? Is it worth it? Like, why can't I, like, attract anybody? It's literally because you're stuck in your frustration bubble. So if you're kind of stuck in that frustration bubble, I would go back to, am I duplicating? Like, do my team underneath me know what to do, or am I just assuming that they do? Because Adam, I had a really cool call with him earlier on in this week, and it kind of slapped me in the face a bit, because he said to me, you know, there's only a certain percentage of people that really get this business. And I'm obviously talking to them right now because you guys are here and you're on. But he said, not everybody is like that. Not everybody that you bring in is going to have the subconscious skills that you think everybody else does. So the funny part is that we get a new teamie and we onboard them and we go, yes, welcome to the best opportunity ever, now run. And they got no fucking clue what they're doing. They literally sit there, and then we think, just goddamn do something. Like, and we don't know how to inspire them, encourage them, or anything. But I think we forget that they have a different skill set. They're not born with the skill set that we have that can really get this straight away. So we have to try and tweak the way that we teach them to encourage them to do that basic shit. Like inviting strong to events, reaching out to people without spewing Juice Plus on them, doing a post without sounding like a salesman, you know, all that kind of stuff that we assume people get doesn't necessarily happen. And I think this is something good to say to you guys too, because you do all have downline at the moment. When they're talking to their first, I'm going to say their first 10 customers, right? You should be involved in them. Not directly. You don't have to be in a three-way message, but you need to be watching what they're saying to that message. So I would be saying, you know, oh, that's so awesome, darling. Can you screenshot me where you're at right now so I can help you? Yeah. Especially because people will be like, oh, I've got this person interested, this person and this person. And then when you speak to them 3 days later, they've done nothing with those people, you know? So it's like, cool, that's so exciting. So many possibilities. Let's see what you're saying to them, you know, in a really polite way, because you just never know. You know, some people can really surprise you with what they think might be working. Yeah. And obviously then the funnest part of being a leader is trying to work out a really tactful way to say that fucking sucks. That's not going to get you anything. And being able to like move it to a, hey, how's that working out for you? Are you finding results? Maybe we should try this way, because I really found it successful. Like, you know, just taking them off that course and teaching them what works. Because honestly, like, as much as I say this, nobody wants another boss. Nobody wants somebody that's saying, that post is shit, like take that post down, it's not going to work, that way is not going to work, you need to do this, you need to be on this. You know, Kira said a really cool thing in one of our trainings once, and she said, if you ever tell your teamie that they should something, you're doing it all wrong. So never should on your teamie. You should be on the training, or you should put a message up. You should post today. Like, no, you have to reword that so that you don't sound like an asshole boss, okay? You've got to actually be their friend and come from a place of psychology, yeah? Which is funny because we talk about it being 95% of the game. 95% of the game is psychology, 5% is the how-to. So really, it does show that when you're dealing in a people's business and you're getting paid to take care of people, you really need to take care of people. But I found that quite interesting because I've been doing it for a long time now. So I guess I kind of just assume that people understand to track their damn points. Like, it's not fucking hard. Get a notebook and write down the points for each order that you get. But the last couple of teams have struggled to get to DVF. And I thought, it's literally because they're not even focused. I'm telling them get 1,000 points. And I still have to, every time I say, how are you going with orders, babe? Here's the point sheet. Like, if you scroll through our chat, I probably sent the point sheet about 6 times in their first 2 weeks. But it's literally because I'm trying to say, get the fucking points. Like, take them, write them down. Like, know how many points you're on. So that eventually when they bring on a teamie, they think, cool, well, I'm going to get them the point sheet. Like, point sheet. And just that's what they remember, so that it starts to duplicate down. Because whatever that you do at the start with this brand new teaming is how they're going to most likely start their new teaming. Yeah. And if you leave them feeling confused and overwhelmed, they're not going to feel confident to bring on a new teaming. Yeah. They're going to, and I mean, let's face it, bringing on new team when you start is already overwhelming as hell. So you want to try and make them feel like this is so much fun. It's so exciting. We've got you. You're supported. Let's go. And now you can go and do this for someone else. Yeah. Now you can go and make someone else feel excited and supported and like they've got it. And I honestly think that's what creates duplication. That's what creates momentum. And that's what takes away that stuck, frustrated feeling. So honestly, when I say all this though, there becomes a point where you can't push it up a hill. And I say that in the nicest way possible, because some teenies just don't want it. You know, they've got all these big hopes and dreams, and no matter how much you support them, no matter how much you're there and you get excited and you say, let's do this, I've got you, here's another set of the point sheets, and you love all over them, they're just never going to turn up for themselves. And honestly, I've learned the hard way that all the energy that you pour into that person who is not spiritually designed to go down this path is dead energy, absolute dead energy. Yeah, it really just ends up more depressing for you because you want it more than they do. So I say this just to be aware. Obviously, you have to support, you have to give them the best start possible, and you have to work on really creating a strong onboarding system for your new people. It's very important, because I do think the upline can make or break it. I really do. I think that if there's an upline who is being really negligent with their duties to support a new person, then that new person can fail. Yeah. So that's obviously important, but then it is important to remember that sometimes people just aren't made for this journey, and you will notice that. I would like to play it as a kind of rule of thumb that you give them a good 30 days. Okay, the 30 days is the red zone in my eyes. You love on them every day for that 30 days. You help them at least get to DVF, if not SDVF. Okay, if in 30 days they're ignoring you, they're still not posting, they're still not doing anything, and you've tried really hard to support them with both you and getting a higher upline involved, release it. Okay, release that energy back into the world and use it to go and find somebody else who is ready to receive this journey. Because, man, I feel like I'm talking so much today, so feel free to interrupt me tons. But I feel like spiritually, and you guys are the right people to talk to for this, this journey is like hardship. Yeah, because it's easy and it's fun and we make some really cool money, but you are faced with so many challenges to grow and so many areas that can appear scary, that if somebody doesn't have that openness to accept the journey, they're not going to succeed. They don't have to be spiritual, let's be real. There's plenty of people who are not spiritual that have kicked ass at this business, but they've always been open to grow. They've always been open to learn something new, and they've always been open to giving their energy to other people. Some people are just not keen on that. So
I have a question, Kat.
Yeah, shoot.
I just seem to have real difficulty getting across the importance of posting. Like, I get new team on and they just don't post, or they don't post enough, or hardly ever. And I do try and talk about how that's how we get paid. We get our posts going every day. If we can't do it every day, just at least every other day or whatever might be manageable. And they just don't post. And I give lots of ideas for posts, suggestions, put them into the post ideas. Talk about at the moment the shred. This is a great thing to post about and get interest, and no posting going on.
Yeah.
Not much.
If I find like now, because now if I find a teamie that is doing this, I feel like it's not actually the posting that it's about. It's about the fear that's underlying why they're not posting. So I know it seems like an invasive question question to ask somebody, but you're an upline, so that's kind of your job to sometimes be that person who pushes people out of their comfort zone. But to say, you know, I've just noticed that you're not taking on board my feedback to post. You know, that's totally okay with your own business, but I would really like to see you succeed. Is there any reason why you don't want to post, or is there any reason why the social media aspect is kind of seeming overwhelming for you? Do you have ideas of how we can do it without posting? You know, because if they say to you, look, yeah, I'd rather just do face-to-face, awesome, go for it, but I can make sure you do it, you know. But it's like, maybe that's how they want to run their business. Maybe they don't want to be on social media, but for the majority of our business, it is so easy. So just asking that question sometimes I feel can work. If they're still evasive with that question of, oh yeah, I'm just so busy, or blah, 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 whatever it is that you feel like they've just totally avoided answering the question, I would go to work on building up their belief in the industry and building up their belief in the product. Because I feel like that, for me, it'd probably be 2 reasons why somebody wouldn't want to post, is the fear that people think things.
Can I just jump in there? And I just want to remind Max, when we did the yelling exercise with Tanya, maybe that's an exercise you could do with the people who are struggling to post and might have fears. You remember how we had to write our fears and then we had to reword them so that they weren't a fear but a positive affirmation?
Yeah.
Because I found that really helped me change my kind of mood around posting and what I was doing, even though none of the stuff that we talked about in that particular exercise was actually to do with posting. It definitely kind of freed up my mindset, if you know what I mean. So maybe you could steal a few of Tanya's exercises.
Yeah.
Do you find that they're getting onto training stacks?
That they're getting what?
Onto trainings or onto events and stuff?
Well, I'm really, I suppose I'm thinking, yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Are you talking about Louise? Because I've noticed that if she jumps onto our trainings, as soon as we start talking about doing stuff, she jumps off again. Do you notice that? There's a lot of fear.
And then she'll talk to me, and then she'll be all fired up and post for a couple of days, and then she'll run away again. And I talked to Henny Moa, and she said, well, I don't want everyone knowing what I'm doing.
Okay.
So,
you know, I had this debate with one of my really good friends who wanted to start the business. She still hasn't, mind you. She's still in fear. But I knew her pain. Like, her pain was going to work 60 hours a week when she had 3 small children at home. And I literally called her out on it. And I said, babe, you're going to work for 60 hours a week, missing out on 60 hours with your children. You're telling me that putting up 2 or 3 posts a day is harder than going to work for 60 hours a week. Which one would you prefer? You know, and I called her out on it because I just think, like, if you want to change, pick your heart. Like, is it letting people know what you're doing in life, or is it doing the same shit that's causing more pain? And sometimes for people like Marg, she's still doing the same old shit. It's still doing the same old shit. But it was funny because she did say to me, she was like, I've never thought of it like that. And she's one of those people that pops in and says, I'm ready this month, sign me up. And then I send her through the details and I never hear back. And then a couple of months later, she does the same thing. So I truly do believe that one day she'll be ready for it. But again, you know, this is where we go back to, is it part of their journey right now? We can do all we can to coach them and make them feel safe and call them out on their shit is quite important, because I feel like obviously you can do it in a really loving way. My upline has a really brutal way of calling people out on her shit, and it used to remove a lot of people from the business prematurely. So you don't have to be a bitch about it, but you can kind of just say, I want this for you. Know their why first, okay? Like, so with your new girl, know what her why is. Like, I really want you to A, B, C, D, like what you told me in the phone call. I'm invested in that. I'm your mentor. You've told me your pain. You know, what if we could just try this for a week or two and see if the results started coming in? You know, but you've got to be prepared. Some people will go for it, some people won't. Some people will be all guns blazing for 2 days and then disappear again because somebody said something. But I like what Sim said, you know, helping them get out of their way by worrying about what other people think, or even just shifting their perception to see it a little bit differently can really help. Because I know when I first started the business, posting scared the shit out of me, mainly again because my upline was very different to me, and her way of posting was literally 3 or 4 times a day on the product, on the business, like no lifestyle post. It was literally just like spam, spam, spew, spew. And her connecting was cold market, like, hey, have you seen what I'm up to? Like, we've got the fastest growing business, like that kind of message that would turn you off. So it scared me because I thought, I don't want to do that. But eventually I got to the point of like, well, I'm going to have to do something if I want to be successful. But I did really have to kind of just think, had to build my belief in why am I here? You know, what is the industry like? The more that I learn about the industry, the more I went to things like conference. Conference is a fucking godsend. Like, I'm going to put in the team page again today because I've noticed so many people that are dodging out on conference, you know, because it's coming up close and they're like, oh, but now I can't find someone to babysit my cats. And just like, my God, like, do you realize, like, it's just crazy because I feel like sometimes I wish I was their employee and I could just say, if you don't come, you're fired. That's it. You're done. Because it's the people that need the conference the most that aren't coming. And
Sim and Roy, we've got to get you there.
Yeah, honestly, girls, I promise you, like, and I'm not saying it, we don't get any kickbacks from getting team to conference. I promise you, like, it's not like I'm getting money in my pocket to get you guys there. But I know from me, I went and I put myself in debt to go to conference because you guys have heard the story of when I first got into the business. Money was not something that was flowing freely. And I actually had to live on complete shakes because I could only afford to buy 1 meal a day. So I was having like shakes for lunch and dinner, or breakfast and lunch and going out for dinner or whatever it was. Because money was not there. But my God, like, it friggin' expanded my mind so big because I just thought, this is so much bigger than what I'm ashamed of. I was ashamed of the fact that I was in a pyramid scheme. I was ashamed of the fact that I loved a product that was in multi-level marketing. I was ashamed of the fact that I wanted to get successful because I thought that meant leaving my friends and family behind. Like, I had all these perceptions, and conference just annihilated them all. And if I didn't go to conference, I can guarantee I wouldn't be an NMD. I guarantee it, because I just wouldn't have thought that it was possible. So, yeah, conference is a massive thing. But honestly, even just you guys getting to conference, if you can't encourage team to get there, it gives you the skills to transfer that certainty down, you know, until you can build them strong enough to get them to conference. And then they do it, and then they build those skills down, and it does just start to duplicate. But it's such an important part of your business. And I don't mean to be disrespectful in the slightest, because, you know, I absolutely love New Zealand. That's why I flew over, because I wanted to be part of the New Zealand conference. But the New Zealand conference has nothing on the Aussie one. Absolutely nothing. Because, like,
Great.
you guys, yeah. And it's just because we've been established longer. We've got more people over here that have been doing it for longer. So when we go to like the New Zealand conference, we're lucky to get maybe 150. When you come to the Aussie conference, there's at least 2,000 people in a room. So it's chalk and cheese when you're talking about walking into that energy of 2,000 people that are jumping around, that are excited about the same damn things you're excited. It just really is so different. So I'll leave too much of my rant for my live that I'm going to do, because I'm just feeling so frustrated. But anyway, it is what it is. But I can definitely pass on as much, I guess, recommendation to you guys as possible to just do whatever you can to get there, because it's so damn worth it. Yeah. But yeah, that was a long-winded answer to your question, Max, but I would totally suggest helping build their belief, because belief comes before the action.
Yeah. I think a lot of people feel like they haven't been active on Facebook, and everyone's going to think it's strange if suddenly here they are bang every day on there.
I was like that.
Another common problem.
I was like that.
You can always feel free to get them to start off small. You know, starting off small is totally okay, even if it's just one post a day about their actual life. And then towards day 4 or 5, you get them to include the product, you know, and the journey. But I think it's getting people really clear on how bad they want this. If they don't want it bad, it's doing the shit that's necessary to get successful. You know, so I would be playing in their why a little bit, stirring the pot around. And, you know, it's kind of like I was doing with mine. Like, you're going to work for 60 hours a week. You're missing out on 60 hours of your children growing up. And the crazy part about it is that she'd actually had a son who'd passed away 18 months before that. So she knew how quickly life could just be taken. So it was kind of like, you know, stir it around. And definitely, you're the person who is not their friend. You're the person who is there. I will always push you out of your comfort zone. I will always make you feel that little bit uncomfortable because I want to see you grow. From a love perspective, not from a financial perspective. And that's what makes our team so beautiful, is that it's always because we want what's best for people. But don't be afraid to be that person. That person that kind of says, why are you here then? Why did you invest $172 if you don't want to do the work?
I've got one last question.
Yeah.
So in a cold market, you've sent your link. You've said, here's the link. I'll check in with you whenever, when you've had a chance to watch it. What's the best thing to say when you come back again after that and ask them if they've watched it and what they thought? What's the best verbiage? Because I quite often do get crickets at that point. Yeah,
honestly, with cold market, you really need to edify yourself as the professional. Warm market, you can be their friend, you can be their confidant, whatever it is, because you already know them and you have that relationship. But in order to gain the respect with cold market, you need to be the professional. You then need to be the boss, so to speak. So my verbiage is very firm. So when I say to somebody, you know, like Jody, I was talking to Jody last night. So she's my new kind of, we're talking, she's ready for it. She's you know, kind of watched my opportunity group. Now she's watching the event because I do things just a little bit different. But she's come back and I've said, okay, cool. The easiest way to get further information to you is have a watch of this video. It does go for about 40 minutes. So make sure that you set aside some time to watch it thoroughly. I'll touch base tomorrow. So don't give them like whenever you've had a chance to watch it. I'll touch base tomorrow or whenever you know you've got time to touch base. Be really authoritative with that. And then say, we can talk more about getting you started with the team. So it's just straight away, there's no part of this that you're not going to love. You're watching the video, getting your answers, and then we're going to get you started in the team. And then literally you have to hold strong to whatever you said. So for me, I told her I'd touch base with her tomorrow. So last night I thought, fuck, I haven't messaged her and today's tomorrow. Like I need to get on board of this. So I did. I sent her the message saying, hey Jody, my biggest apologies. I've had such a busy day with the team. But I'm checking in to see how you went with the videos, what questions came up, and when can we get you started? That's it. And then if I don't hear back from that, which sometimes happens, you come back with urgency. So you come back and you say, hey Jody, don't mean to be annoying, totally fine if you're no longer interested, but I'm starting my onboarding process next Friday or Saturday, whatever's coming up. You know, give them probably about 3 or 4 days up your sleeve. And say, I'd really love to have my numbers sorted by then. And I loved your vibe. I would love you to be one of them. Can you let me know at your earliest convenience when you're going to get a chance to watch it and report? something like that. I find at that stage, especially by giving them a compliment, by saying I did really love talking to you, or really loved your energy, or I loved your reason why you wanted to start this business, whatever it is that kind of makes them feel like they're somewhat special than the other candidates.
Yeah.
I feel that makes them actually go, oh my God, I'm so sorry, my son's been sick, or, you know, I've been working overtime, or whatever it is. I actually haven't had a chance to watch it. Because 90% of the time when people don't come back to you, it's because they didn't watch it. And now the excitement's gone and they forget why they were even watching it to begin with. But if you kind of can be that consistent, like even throwing something out along, if you're still interested in working online with us, is one of my favorite ones. Because it reminds them again, okay, it's working online. That's why I'm doing it. It's getting that freedom. It's getting that flexibility. I find that most of the time gets them back in the ball game. And of course it gives them some kind of dedication, but again, then if you're playing that authority figure, you need to make sure that by the time Friday comes around, you say, hey, last chance, I've got my final lot of teams starting today. Are you in? I would love to talk more today. Please get back to me at your earliest convenience. And I always sign it off, kind regards, Katrina Stark, the Soul Project. It's never just like hun or babe or anything like that in those kind of things, which I can't imagine you would be anyway, Max. But, you know, like, it's I make sure that it is very official. So it's
a babe, Maxine. We call it a babe.
Sometimes I watch like Cold Market.
I've never called anyone babe.
I know.
So after the first thing where you say I'm checking back and to see that the first response after I'm checking back from the initial send out and you get crickets, how many days after that do you say, okay, I'm forming my team now, I'm going to be starting up on Friday, are you in?
24 hours. It's a 24-hour rollover for me with Cold Market all the time. If it goes any longer than 24 hours between a message, I feel like you've lost your credibility. Because if you're at work doing your job, you've got a certain task to do that day. And, you know, the last feeling that I want somebody to get from Cold Market is that I'm just a stay-at-home mum who's got nothing better to do than try and get her on my team. You know, and I know sometimes that's reality. That's obviously the truth of the situation, but I don't want to push that onto my potential. I want them to feel like the opportunity that you're coming into is special. It's something that can change your life. It's something, and honestly, like, it might just be because I'm in a position now to do it. So I don't know if I actively encourage you to do it. But if they come back to me after Friday, I'll say, I'm so sorry, babe. I've just started up my new team. You know, I will touch base again in April, or I'll touch base again at the start of May when I'm going to onboard some new trainees. I've missed the boat. You know, if they really want it, then I can guarantee in May they're going to turn up when I actually say, hey, how'd you go with the video? You know, because it frustrates me that people don't take this seriously. And I think that once you hold that standard of, no, you will not treat me like I'm dirt, like I've got the best opportunity to give you, you'll damn reply to me. I think when you get more set on that, they actually show up for themselves a little bit better, because they include more respect in the opportunity rather than a you owe me because I signed up to your team kind of mentality, because it's nothing worse than that.
That's great. I've been doing it very differently to that. So if they fail to respond to any of those reach outs, but they're friends with you on Facebook, so they're going to continue watching your journey, when would you check in again?
Depends. Like, I honestly feel like this is something that's person to person, because if I feel like I've got a really good opportunity to help them, they're way higher up on my radar. Like, and that's where I feel like you've got to come from a place of, do I have permission to serve you, or am I just trying to find a team? Because if you're coming from, I'm just trying to find a team, which, let's be real, it definitely happens. You're starting with the wrong vibe anyway. But if
I've got my, yeah, you've got on Mohammed. I've got him. This is the call I was having from Dubai. Can you just give me 10 minutes, Mohammed, and I'll give you and then you can jump on. I've just sent you a message.
Sorry, Terence.
That's all right. It's all right. We're going over. I said it was 2:30 that I would call him, so I would jump on the live. He's just jumping off now. He just replied to my message. Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, sorry. So I feel like if there's somebody that I know I can really help, like especially if they're friends on my Facebook and I can see that they're struggling, or I can see that they do really want to change, they're just maybe feeling a little bit frightened, I will touch base with them every month, every couple of months, and get into a routine of having it at the start of a month. And when you're goal setting, you know, have your list of people who you eventually want to have on your team and touch base with them and say, hey, no pressure at all. I'm just recruiting again for entry-level team. I'd love to know if this month works better for you, because I remember when we originally talked that you had A, B, C, and D that you would love to work on, and I would really love to mentor you through them. Let me know if I can help. I look forward to chatting more soon. That's it. You know, and honestly,
So
like,
if they don't friend you on Facebook, because I get a lot of people who will message me but they won't connect with me on Facebook. If they fail to respond 3 times, would you then kind of cross them off and assume that they're not really? Yeah, they're not. That's what I feel like. If they can't even connect with you on Facebook, they're not very interested, are they?
no. And I mean, like, that comes back to holding yourself in a better self-worth, because you don't want to chase people. Like, what we've got, people need to chase us. Like, we have the best damn opportunity in the world. So I feel like when you are constantly following up a person who has shown you no respect, then you're sliding into desperation. Even they can see that, even if it's not. So I just wouldn't even bother.
So when you send out the link, do you actually ask them to connect with you on Facebook?
Yeah, see, so I do it a little bit differently, because most of the time if I'm doing cold market, I go through my Soul Project page. So from there, if they come back to me and they say, hey, I'd love some more information, I go, wonderful. What I'm going to do is connect with you on my personal page, because I can connect a lot better through there. There's less red tape. You're going to see a friend request pop up from Katrina Stark. Please accept it and I'll get you added into our info group as soon as possible. And I always say, kind regards, the Soul Project page looks like. And then that way, I feel like I've given them a reason why. Sometimes even too, like if I read that they might be a little bit of a private person, I will put on there and say there's absolutely no need to keep me as a friend if this isn't your cup of tea. It just makes the process a lot smoother at the start. And for the majority of people, they're not going to add you and then go straight in and delete you. But I feel like that just makes it a little bit easier. So I don't normally send out a link until they're my friend.
Oh, that's interesting, because I get a lot of people who don't friend me, and I friend request them and they ignore it.
Yeah, call them out.
Or else they don't have the option to friend request. So that's interesting. So you don't even send a link, which is interesting, because the ones that don't friend you tend to be the ones that don't go anywhere with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And always, yeah.
Yeah. And see, I do it a little bit differently, because I actually have an opportunity group. So I have a group with the info inside. So they have to become my friend personally, so that I can then add them into this group. I don't send just a link through Messenger anymore. I get them to watch it inside this group. So then that way there's a whole lot of people in there. I can go to members and I can see 200 people that have once wanted to see a link. And if I'm having a follow-up day, I've got an absolute field day ahead of me. So it does make it really easy that way, because then I feel like there's actually a reason why you must become my friend. Whether you keep me on board is totally up to you. But we might leave it there and we'll let Tans get on to her next call. But I'm totally down to keep doing this weekly. If you guys are, just let me know. and we can jump on and we can keep having some time where you
Sun's came.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's been fantastic, Kat. Thank you. I've been doing it all wrong. So, you know.
Well, you
That's
haven't
fine.
been doing it wrong. You haven't been doing it wrong, Maxine. You've just been doing it differently. I do mine in the same way as I would, you know, in the past when I've applied for jobs. And sometimes I've had to wait for a week before I hear from them. So for me, I do my last, like if I get crickets, I'll do my last one in a week. And then that's it. I won't do it anymore. And I'm the same. Like I have an opportunity group and I put them all into the opportunity group. So they do have to be my friend first. So, you know, I think, but I understand what you're saying. I think it's really good that you do it in 24 hours. But I would generally send a second message within 24 hours.
Yeah. And then the third, yes. I used to do the same thing as well. I used to do it like 24 to 48 hours was the first one, and then the next one was the furthest, 7 to 8 past. And I really found 1 month I went through and I don't know whether it's just my energy or what for that month, but I actually did like hours, and I noticed such an extreme difference in response rates. Extreme. And then the sign up rates after that too. So I just thought, you know what, this is going to be my new method because it works better for whatever target audience I'm running with. So I would encourage that one now just after what I've found. But hey, if you've got something else that's working, absolutely stick to it and run with it. But for me, that's definitely what I've noticed has just got far better results. But my issue, and I'm very aware of it, is that my organization and my scheduling is where I lack. So that's an area where I put it off even doing it because I think, well, fuck, then I've got to get really clear on making sure that I'm doing what I'm doing when I say I'm doing it and making sure that I'm there, and I know that scares me. So that's my area of growth where I've got to get better because I need to be able to have that 24-hour and then 24-hour follow-up.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, because I feel like I'm actually getting quite strong regular interest in cold markets, but I'm not getting any of them across the line.
Yeah.
So that's obviously, you know, there's an efficiency that's not happening there.
Yeah.
So that's very helpful.
Yeah. I would get firmer and really stand in that the assertiveness of your standards. Who do you want and how do you want them to show up? You don't want to take just anybody. You want people, because then you're going to have people that like don't post.
That don't work. I know, you're just going to end up with people who don't work. So yeah, I can see that already.
Yeah. And it starts to create a precedent of what's okay and what's not. So start early, and the earlier and the pickier that you get. But I mean, then you've got to have a really strong onboarding system because you've got to make sure that you are supporting them and duplicating them and teaching them and doing all that kind of stuff. But if you are doing all of that and you've been really selective with your energy before they come into the team, then they're going to respond way better and they're going to actually fly way quicker.
Fantastic. Thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you so much, Kat. Thank you.
All right. It was lovely to see you guys. I'll see you all soon.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.